Heidi Ho America. Since 2020, more than 158,000 truckers have lost their CDLs. And these people remain unable to earn a living. Many say that's too many. They say
it'll cripple our supply chain.
Well, folks, I say phooey. I say the numbers don't lie.
From Truckin City headquarters and our mobile studios, deep in the heart of Truckin' Today, a Media Matters podcast for truckers today. Talking news, your host, Boss Man.
That's right. The numbers don't lie. Year over year, quite the opposite of what people claim is going on. And I intend to talk about that tonight. This is Media Matters, Truckin' City News, leading and most frequent podcast talking about trucking news. Our aim and goal by hosting this show is to do but one thing. And it's back at you, friend. And that is keep the media accountable. We want them aware of the fact that we are watching. Year after year, issue after issue, they constantly misrepresent you and me. They represent the corporate elites. They represent everybody that pays them. They get paid to lie. We don't get paid, but we tell you the truth. Truckin' Frontline, Saturdays at 11 o'clock. Be there, be square. We talk the same issues as we're talking now, only it's a little different. You want to find out how different? Tune in. Give this video a like, give this channel a thought, subscribe. You won't regret it. We historically like taking shows like this, presenting you with the story, giving you the forum for debate. Either prove me wrong or prove me right. Either way, get ready for a fight. We are at the end of the video talking about arriving at the truth. That's what journalism is. And that's what the CNNs of this world, the Fox news channels, the MSNBCs miss. So I invite you to come on in, sit down, have a smoke, have a drink, whatever it is you do, but pay attention because it's about to get real. We have some well-known personalities in the house. Guests backstage, whom we'll get to in just a moment. I wanted to say hello to a few friends in the house. Fate Truckin', and yes, I said the name right. You, sir, are welcomed on my show if you'd like to brace your presence. It's what we're talking about tonight. You'll probably enjoy. 7C's, hello to you. He's in the house as well. Yes, Driving with John is in the background, but he's, of course, driving with John, so he'll be in the background, as it were. His comment is, it's dark. Well, no kidding. Give that man a cigar. Of course it's dark. I see backstage activity going on. I will get to you shortly. Anyway, Poet is in the house, the man from up north. God bless you. Hello. Thank you all for joining me. I will certainly, hopefully, not disappoint. Come on, comments, cooperate with me. saying hello to Fate Truckin. Can't stay long. Starts his new job tomorrow. Congratulations, my friend. I hope it works. Good luck. Make it count, my friend, as my old channel used to say. If you're joining me on Facebook, such as so far nobody is, take a moment. Recognize I have stars down below. Help me out financially, because I haven't got that yet on Facebook. And yes, it will be dark for a moment. Let me just scope up to you guys what today's topic is about. The numbers don't lie. Those numbers that I talk about are drug testing numbers. Recently, reports have come out stating that for the most part, they say that they want changes to the drug testing policy that exists in this country. Their argument, and by the way, the story will be linked in the description if it isn't already. They say that the numbers are the way they are and as bad as they are because drug testing is too strict. They say we're losing so many drivers that it's about to cripple the supply chain. Well, my friends, I've got some information for you, and I'm going to provide you with that information. Then we're going to debate what the hell the sense is behind this argument anyway. Because I'm here to tell you, they say we're losing too many drivers. I'm going to show you otherwise. Very same report that they're complaining about also exists alongside of another report. This report is in Truckers News. It's titled Positive Drug Tests for Drivers Down. That's part of the wording in that. But, you know, I take exception because obviously between the years of 2022 and 2023, there was more than a 10% decline in failed drug tests. They say, oh, we're losing too many drivers. No, that's not the case. Because clearly right here, it's part of this very same article I'm talking about. Marijuana tests in the year 2022 saw 40,916 failures. The year following, only 37,657 failures. So, my friends, your argument is flawed. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the argument on its head, as I'm well known for it. And I'm going to postulate the possibility that the system in place now is effective and it works. And hint, it doesn't need changing. So let's bring on a guest and let's talk about whether I'm right or am I wrong. Grumpy
Sorry,
old
had to get my coffee.
What the hell are you worried about, dude? You timed it right. You should have just hushed. Anyway, how you doing there, grumpy old man?
Pretty good. Since I get my coffee down me here, I had to add a little of my sugar to it.
Hey, God bless the
So what's
sugar and
going
the
on
coffee.
tonight, boss man?
You got pretty much the same information I do, okay? A trucking group out there is fully convinced that we are looking at a serious exodus from the trucking industry and a lack because, and their claim is, because trying to get the wording right. Hell with the wording. I'll just put it out there. They say the testing for marijuana is too strict. Because without anybody being aware of how things go with trucking, if you're not a trucker and you're in the audience, I'll give you a little bit of 101 for 15 seconds. In order for you to get your CDL and have a position with most companies, you have to enlist and be part of the National Drug Clearinghouse database, which basically puts you in line with every other driver out there and says that you have to submit to a urinalysis. Now, the urinalysis usually picks up whether you have THC, cocaine, meth, or any of the major narcotics in your system. And that database is there to basically store the results of each and every test you take. Now, the moment you fail a drug test, that information is deposited into this clearinghouse. And the moment you go to get a job, thank you for starting up your reefer there, dude. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm busting on fake trucking tonight. But the moment you get that information deposited into that database, every employer from then on you get has access to that database. And this trucking group's claim is that there's up to almost 158,000 people that have gotten negative results on urinalysis that didn't need to necessarily have it. Their position is, oh, well, the urinalysis is way too liberal. It looks too far out. There are recreational users that will be able to drive truck, but they don't fail a drug test, which makes absolutely no darn sense. I mean, to you, grumpy old man, I mean, what is your thought? If the numbers I've just presented you, okay, say that between the years 22 and 23, we've seen a 10% drop equivalent. The number's a little different with that specific example I highlighted. But overall, and it said overall, the numbers were 10% less. What does that tell you, and what do you think about this group's request to change the standards?
I don't think they're going to win that situation because, I mean, drug use has always been prohibited with trucking. Back in the older days, you know, it was different, but you still had to take a drug test. So I don't believe that's ever going to change. And marijuana, yeah, it's getting more legal and more able to get a hold of and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's just not going to happen. Trucking and drugs of any kind is not mixed.
No, it don't. And you're funny, dude, okay? My reefer's running. Should I try and catch it? Oh, wow. That's a knee slapper. That's actually a good
Leave
one,
it
Scott.
to
I
fate.
appreciate that. Right? Ed John Zayers, I know it isn't popular conversation, but I don't think it's strict enough. Thank you, my friend. That's exactly the way I think. And it looks like the three of us are in sync on that. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you know, I've been there. I've been on both sides. Number one, I've never used drugs and I've never driven under the influence. I never will. But when I say I've been on both sides, not only have I been a truck driver that's had to be compliant with these rules and forced, obviously, to understand them, but I've also been a first responder. Okay? Many know that I've been a first responder, but no one in this panel and no one in the audience knows what I'm about to tell you. And I've been to a serious accident. And believe you me, when you've seen one, thank God the accident I was at, thank God there was no fatalities. Okay. But as a first responder, with Winona Lake Fire Department in New York, I did respond to a serious injury accident. And the images I witnessed, you can't unsee. Okay, the senses were playing serious games with me that day. And believe me, it burns in your mind. what's going on. Now, this was 27, 28 years ago. I'm estimating. But they basically missed a turn coming off of an interstate and rolled the vehicle, a family of four.
Mm.
Okay. So intoxication was involved. It wasn't marijuana, but it was intoxication was involved. The images you see and the smells from serious injury, blood, and all that, you cannot forget that. Get that burned in your mind and then sit there and then tell me you think you want to change policies about drugs being tested, people being allowed to smoke and drive. Hell, for that matter, why don't you open up the policies and the rule books, throw away it all, let everybody drink and drive? How safe are you going to feel going to work, my friends? That's not a pretty subject, you know? And I mean, really, we need nothing but stricter policies. You know, I get that half the country wants to legalize marijuana, but I don't think half the people in the country want to die driving their trucks either. Give me some ideas in the chat, guys. Let me know if you think like me or if you disagree with me. Hell, if you're game, give us a call. Talk to us on our studio line. The number is 860-785-3547. 860-785-3547. Drug testing. They say we're losing too many drivers. I say phooey. I say we have what we need. Scott with Fate Truckin. What do you say, my friend? Welcome aboard. Glad you could show up.
Sorry, I was just taking a drink of my water.
Amen, brother. I got my Mountain Dew, so we're all in the same one.
So, couple of things. A lot of the people that have lost their ability to drive are from the previous year. So, test positive drug tests for marijuana have decreased from a year ago. But
right.
Basically what they're arguing is you made a good point. You get put in the clearinghouse. Once you fail a drug test, there are steps that they require you to go through, not the company. Your company requires you to do things too, but the clearinghouse, yes. So what happened was a lot of those people that failed drug tests have not complied with clearinghouse. So they're out of a job. Rightfully so.
About 98,000. The numbers say 98,000 people have failed to complete the mediation requirements to reapply or remove restrictions, right? Because when you're put on that, what's happened is the status of your license is then put on a restriction. You're not able to operate a commercial motor vehicle until you cleared this up. So that's so the rest of the audience knows. But yeah, over 98,000 people so far are still on restriction. Continue.
Which should be. Let me be clear. What I'm about to say might sound like I am justifying lowering drug standards or drug testing standards. I'm not. I have been in this industry 25 years. I have had to follow the law for those 25 years. I've made mistakes here and there when I was younger, but this is the point I want to get at.
Right.
Trucking is a federally regulated thing. So yes, marijuana is becoming legal in many states. Trucking isn't regulated by the state. The state issues your license, but the CDL, the actual CDL, the Class A or Class B CDL license, is federally regulated. So until marijuana becomes federally legal, we shouldn't even be having this conversation. Because I will hear the argument about alcohol. Alcohol is federally regulated, federally taxed. It is something that they say you can do when you're off the clock.
Right.
I can see an argument for that. Once again, not justifying the use of any type of mood altering chemical except nicotine when you're driving a truck. Nicotine and caffeine.
Right. Got a nice
I'm not
little graphic
advocating
I
that.
put up. Yeah. Got a nice little graphic I put up on the right-hand side of the screen just to let everybody in the panel and in the audience know that we got a caller on the line. Judging by the number, it's our friend Poet from the north.
Nice.
Good day, Poet. Welcome aboard, and I'm glad you took the time to call me. What's your position on this whole thing, my friend?
Well, you don't go to dope because it makes you smart, okay? I don't want to work with people that are under the influence. I used to drive with drivers that have been smoking. I don't care what you do on your weekend off. Do not come into work and then get all smoked up and
Try to pass it off like you know what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah. Amen to that.
you know, I refused it.
Mhm.
You
Yep.
know, I had my time of pot smoking when 16, 17.
Yeah.
And it's like driving drunk. You don't do that.
I'm almost willing to bet that the policies up north where you're at, my friend, are probably stricter. Am I right?
Nope. Nope.
Oh, my
No, you're
word.
wrong.
I'm wrong. Oh, wow. See, that's the first time on Media Matters anybody's ever proved me wrong. Congratulations, Poet.
Is Poet from Canada?
I can't prove
Yes,
you
he's in
wrong.
Alberta, Canada.
Just letting you know. They don't be test commercials. Okay? They don't do blood tests. We don't have a clearinghouse. Okay?
Wow.
Well, then you can't
Wow.
operate in the States.
Like if I want to, if I want to drive into the U.S. and register with the U.S. clearinghouse, but since I no longer come to the U.S., there's no clearinghouse for me to register with.
Okay, yeah, Scott with Fate Truckin just made a good point. And you just corrected it, sounds like. Let me make sure I understand correctly. You're saying if you're a Canadian driver and you want to enter the U.S. to deliver or pick up a load, you have to enter only after becoming part of the clearinghouse here in the States. Is that right?
You're right, exactly, because now I'm an interstate driver.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Man, I love this stuff. I love learning stuff. So it's cool. I love that. Well, Poet, I thank you for that information. And I certainly respect your opinion and your position. You know, it sounds like we're all on the same line here.
Can I ask Poet a question?
Yeah, hold on, Poet. Poet, Fate wants to ask you something. Yeah, certainly. Go ahead, buddy.
So if Poet's from Canada, this is where the argument that I was just talking about comes into play, because I do believe that marijuana is is legal in Canada, not just by Providence. It's like legal throughout the whole country, correct?
Okay. Hang on a second, Scott. I'm going to hang up. I got to get ready for bed. I got an early day this morning.
Just
I
answer.
will listen to what you have to say on YouTube, okay?
Okay, just answer one quick question for me, Poet. Is pot legal in Canada or is it illegal?
It's legal right up the country.
Okay, that's what Scott was asking. Okay. Go ahead, Poet. I thank you for the call, and we'll talk with you next time, my friend. God bless you.
You bet you. Drive safe. Bye.
All right. You were saying,
I like
Scott?
that Canadian. I like
love
that Canadian.
him. He has got so many stories. God bless him. Anyway,
but yeah,
you were saying,
I was saying I believe marijuana, and actually more than marijuana, is like I don't want to say federally legal in Canada because I don't know if that's the right terminology. But
well, according to
it's
him,
like,
I don't think. Yeah, it's probably termed different, but according to him, all over
yeah,
the country, it is. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
But I think the argument that we're making, to be honest, like it's mute. And I'm not saying that to be rude or like ruin this live show because I think it's a great discussion to have. But
No, and nothing could ruin it because the only thing that could ruin it is if I lose power. Say you're free, you're willing, you're able, you have an opinion, just like me. So carry on, my friend.
It's just the CDL is not ran by the states. It's given to you by the state, but it's ran by the federal government.
Right.
I would take the position. I don't care what you do on your time off, man. Like, that's your time off. And if you're telling me it's okay that somebody can go get sauced up all weekend long, go to bed for 8 hours, and come in Monday morning and drive a truck. I mean, I don't know because I don't smoke pot, but I don't know what the difference is. You know, if somebody wants to get high on the weekend, who am I? You know, once again, I'm not advocating for it. And
No, and I don't think anybody wants to. Yeah. So yeah.
if we're losing drivers because of it, hey, and there's a shortage. We saw what happened last time when our supply chain got messed up. We were getting $5, $6 a mile everywhere we went. So smoke more pot.
Well, everybody has their entitlement to opinion, so I have no choice but to respect yours. And we have one in from the back of the house. John says, technically, you can't have alcohol in your truck, so that's not true.
Yes.
I don't know what he's referring to. That's
yes,
true.
yes, you can. You can have alcohol.
Whether
you cannot transport
clock,
it.
Right. Whether you're on the clock or off the clock, you cannot have any alcohol in your truck. And that is true. You are not allowed to have it anywhere on your person. At least so far as every company
in
I've
the
ever
truck.
worked with, that is the yes.
That's a company rule.
Wow.
There you can have alcohol, you cannot transport it. So let's say you went and bought a 6-pack of beer. You can't put whatever you don't drink in your refrigerator and drive around with it. If you are off the clock, you can have a cocktail in your truck.
Yeah.
It's in the what the J.J. Keller book. You're allowed to do it.
Okay.
So
have you ever,
John, you're wrong.
Have you ever indulged in that privilege there, Frank?
I don't drink much anyhow, but I've always was told that you're not allowed to have it in your truck, whether you're an owner operator or not.
Yeah.
No, you can.
If it's, I mean, if you're
Get
caught,
ready for a conflict,
which
guys.
there's been a few of them that have been caught that are just on their 10-hour break and have taken it over to their trucks from convenience stores, and DOT come and have them arrested. I'm serious. I've seen it been done.
Get ready for a fight.
You need to be over the legal limit, which is 0.04 for a commercial vehicle. 0.04.
Right.
Because it's half of what the legal limit is. I guess is 0.08 the legal limit nationwide? I know it is in Minnesota. 0.08.
0.08 is the legal difference or definition between legally intoxicated and
to get a DUI in Minnesota, if you blow a 0.07, you're not, they can't charge you with a DWI. They can charge you with a DUI,
right?
But they cannot charge you with a DWI.
Right. DWI is 08 and over. DUI is 08 and under. The difference being the amount in your system. We have a caller online, and the caller is calling because he's driving, so he cannot do video, which is why he's not on with us right now. Driving with John is on the phone with us. I assume, my friend, you have some serious disagreement with this conversation. Let me have it.
Exactly how the phone thing works, but somebody said earlier that it's different than alcohol because you can have a drink when you're off the clock. You cannot have alcohol in your semi truck at any point.
John, yes, you can. Yeah, yes, you can. You're wrong, John. You're
Not true.
100% wrong. You're wrong. You can have alcohol. You cannot transport it. If you're shut down for 34 hours, you can have a cocktail in your truck. It's not a law.
Fact, drink 6, throw it in my fridge, drive to my next destination, and that night have 6 more.
What did I just say, John? You cannot put it in your refrigerator.
I don't think that's what Scott is saying. I think what Scott's trying to delineate is the difference between consumption and storage. I mean, I don't personally agree with the concept he's describing myself because I don't have any in my truck ever under any circumstance. But I see where you're coming from, John, and understand your position as well. But that's my job as a broadcaster. I have to. But
I understand what Faith's saying right there.
Yeah.
He's saying that you can't transport it. I get it.
Right.
But it's a very shady line between grabbing a 12-pack. What are you going to do? Throw the 4 you didn't drink away the next morning before you start driving?
Well, that's a decision you have.
That's what you're supposed to do.
That's
the law.
You're supposed to make. But according to what Fate's saying, he said, and I quote, "You can have a cocktail." Now, I don't know where you're getting that information from, Scott, but
it's in the J.J. Keller book.
Okay.
It's in the federally regulated J.J. Keller book.
Okay.
You are allowed to have it's not like, how do I say this? Because prohibited's the wrong word.
Yeah.
It's definitely frowned upon. It is not a good idea. It is not a good practice. It is none of that.
Right.
But if you are shut down and not driving and have a beer, if this was this is a bad example because I have to leave where I'm at. If I was where I was at and had this beer, legally I can. I cannot take this beer and put it in a fridge, in a cooler, or anything, or even unopened ones, and drive down the road with it. Then I am committing a crime.
Yes. That much I understand and agree with.
Well, just so that my point isn't lost here, basically, if you're a company driver, if you have anything, not just alcoholic beverages, if you have rubbing alcohol on your truck, you'll lose your job. In most companies, you can't have any alcohol-based things in your truck at all. I don't know if that's a federal thing or a company thing, but that is a real thing that happens out here.
I gotta call you out again on that, John, because you're wrong. Once again, every truck is supposed to have a first aid kit.
Or a federal thing.
Every truck is supposed to have a first aid kit in it. One of the things you are allowed to have is rubbing alcohol and hydrogen peroxide in a first aid kit. Right. That is a federal law to carry a first aid kit in your truck that can have rubbing alcohol in it.
What happens if you're carrying mouthwash that has alcohol in it?
I've got a video. I've got a video that proves you're in just as much trouble as if that were a 12-pack of beer. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you use mouthwash in your driver, it has to be 100% non-alcoholic.
Alcohol-based products that you use every day, like mouthwash.
Yeah. I wouldn't use it.
But if you're a company driver and you have mouthwash that's alcohol based on your truck, you will lose your job.
I'm not saying you wouldn't. I'm saying, once again, you're talking about a company that can institute any rule that they want to institute, even if it's above the law. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
well, in other words, you're saying even if it differs, not in a negative fashion, but I get what you're saying, Scott.
So bringing us back to this conversation, then, what's the difference between sitting in your truck and drinking when you're off duty and a joint when you're off duty?
I just told you, one thing is federally regulated, the other thing isn't. I wouldn't be opposed to.
And
Part
I'm
of the
not
argument,
advocating for it though.
part of the
well,
argument,
the
part,
reason why,
well, I was going to say part of the argument that I'm going to make coming up on my weekend show, because this topic will be touched upon differently on Frontline. So we're going to be broaching this again, but from a different angle. But one of the things I'm going to mention in that, and I feel it's necessary to interject here, is simply the fact that just because between state and federal, there's a difference in the amount of allowance of something, doesn't necessarily mean that for an industry, pick one, that there be a mid ground. Because the moment you concede from what's known to work and you start taking away from what's known to work to satisfy those that feel like they're missing, you open up yourself to a Pandora's box there's no return from.
I
So
couldn't agree more
that
with
having
that.
been, yeah, I mean, that having been said, that's the only way in which I know to bridge the argument you two are engaged in. Yes, it's illegal to carry and consume, but does that make it right for the other people that can to get away with it? No, it doesn't. Because the moment they do and cause an accident, then that comes back and reflects on those that can't. So that's my circular argument to defend this entire process. I don't want
and
anyone driving on the same roads as my wife and kids to be under the influence. Zero. None. Final word there, John?
yes, I actually agree with everything you just said. But one other point I wanted to say, and then I'll hang up and let you guys argue, and I'll listen. But he said it was a moot point to have this discussion because it's not allowed federally. That's true. But if we don't have this discussion, this is the first steps to start that slippery slope where it becomes legalized, and then this discussion is no longer a moot point. So it's better to have it now
So
than.
I.e., the reason why this podcast will hopefully gain traction and be a thing. I hope to make that difference. What say you, Scott?
well, I don't want to come across like I'm advocating for the use of drugs in this industry. Like, but I feel like I am because I'm playing devil's advocate here because this is something that like I agree with is or like do take serious.
Yeah.
The reason I say a moot point because it's not federally regulated is
Right.
is because once again, I agree with everything you said too, boss man. I don't want anybody on the road that has any like impairment style alcohol or drug in them. But we're talking about statistics and numbers here, right?
Yeah.
You want to be a news channel that gives honest looks at things. Alcohol is one of the most deadliest drugs like known to man. And it's federally regulated and federally taxed. And it's something that is socially acceptable.
Right.
Why are we even like why is it okay for me or John or any one of us to go home on a Friday if we choose to drink like swordfishes and get in our truck Monday morning and think we can operate a truck? How is that any different than somebody going home on Friday, smoking some pot and coming back to work on Monday? What's the big difference?
It is no different.
Well,
it is no different, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, in a truck, like,
if
you're gonna say
John, I
that a
agree.
guy can have a beer sitting in a truck when he's parked, then they're gonna have to figure out a way to test to allow a joint also. But I don't want either. I don't want either at all.
Well, the same way
like
they
Boss
have.
Man said, my family depends on that.
Right. Same way they have devices and technology in development right now for those that offend And well, quite forgetting development, they've got stuff in existence right now. If you're a known habitual offender of the DUI laws, and you somehow, God only knows what state this would happen in. I know, California.
Florida.
You still maintain your license. You have to blow into a breathalyzer in order to start the freaking car. I mean, it's coming
that's in
down to, and
Minnesota.
this is where I am actually going mentally on Saturday's show. So please don't miss it. But you should be.
Hey, boss man, we lost
I
you.
know.
You're muted
You
again.
should be. I'm watching it. You should be required to do the same thing with drug testing too. And it's totally off topic.
Hey.
I'm sorry to the viewers for doing that, but because my thing was the numbers. But I don't know.
Hey guys, all of you stay safe. Every trucker that hears this, guys, stay safe.
Do the right thing.
Keep on trucking.
Yes.
And remember, truckers are people too. Talk to y'all later.
God bless. Stay safe, John. Thanks for calling. He is definitely a very passionate individual when it comes down to the same.
Oh, you have no idea the arguments that him and I have gotten into.
Well, I was going to say, you two are so spirited and so much fun to have on this show. I welcome it all the time. Just for what just went on today, I welcome it. Thank you both. Look, at the end of the day, the numbers are the issue I am taking exception to. Okay, these groups are saying that too many people have lost their jobs and abilities to earn. All right. Let me ask this of the guest who's been a silent majority most of this show. What is it about the numbers that you think needs to be properly addressed, Frank? What can we do differently that keeps the name, well, not the name, the numbers as low as they've been, while still helping out those people that think the rules are too strict? What do you think?
My opinion is just leave the drugs alone if you're planning on being a truck driver. I mean, it's not going to change anytime soon.
Right.
I mean, I do kind of see where Scott's coming from.
Yes.
On the factor of, what's the difference in it and alcohol.
Yes.
Really, to be honest with you, the biggest difference I see in it is the factor that the THC, which is in marijuana, stays in your system for up to 30 days. It may not have no effect on you. Well, I'm just giving an example. It stays a minimum of 30 days.
Yeah, we're going to talk specifics on that on Saturday's show, so I welcome you to watch that. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just the factor of it is. I think that's, I mean, now, doing it while you're driving, not a good plan. That's operating anything, to be honest with you. If you're going to use it, definitely don't operate anything. My days when I was younger are over on that. Once I learned that it couldn't be used and drive truck, I said, that's it. 16 years old, I left it alone.
God bless you, God. Poet. Have a safe one. Good luck on your job, my friend. I just wanted to slide that in there. Because, I mean, this entire conversation was very spirited between John, Scott, and Poet. I mean, I feel like we've learned a lot. I feel like we've discovered a lot. We've discovered there's two very passionate souls that frequent my show. Speaking of souls, Frank, what's your thought on our earlier conversation?
Well, I'd like to bring that up. That'd be fine by me.
By all means. I will let you remind everybody about a young soul who's no longer with us.
This gentleman right here was a good personal friend of mine for over 25 years. He taught school, and he also was a storm chaser. And he left us not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before last. And we laid him to rest this past Friday. And I just want to say you've earned your wings and take care, my friend.
God bless it. God bless it. That was very sweet. A way to wish him the best. And anybody who loses someone, especially if they're close to them in the trucking industry, it's never a hard thing. My heart goes out to you, my friend. Frank, that is, I can't imagine dealing with that. But to the rest of the audience, should you feel it necessary to speak up in remembrance of someone you lost, certainly let us know. Send us an email, send us a picture, and we'll put something up in their honor. Just let us know. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. What say you, Scott?
I lost the guy. I lost my trainer, the guy that
How long?
trained me in.
Oh, wow. How long ago was that?
He passed away about 5 years ago now, but he
Oh,
was
wow.
young.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't say anybody I've dealt with in trucking I've lost because I've only been in it 13 years. So I don't think I've been in it long enough to quite have that problem. So,
Well, it's just like my friend there. He just turned 68 last month, so he really wasn't that old. I mean,
yeah, that is quite young. Yeah. So it's sad that they have to go, but hey, that's God's plan. You know, he's called home when he's called home. So had another question or two I had queued up. So let me look. Just give me 1 second here. Alternative methods we'll cover. Da-dum. Here's a good one. We can talk about it. Kind of slightly has something to do with numbers. What impact do you guys think the current policies we have in place? What impact do you think now do the current policies have on recruitment and retention? What do you think, Frank?
myself, I believe
Yeah.
it's actually kind of good because I mean, a lot of the companies are not only doing the UAs, but they're also doing hair follicle tests, so they're able to do
Yeah, I
deeper
heard
in
that was
depth.
in the plan. Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I just with all the years I've had behind me, you know, and I'm sure Scott will agree, I'm for it because I mean, I don't want to see someone get into a bad accident if they're using,
No.
you know, whether it be
No.
marijuana or other drugs.
Yeah. Yeah. What say you, Scott? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think it's a good thing that they try and not just on their drug and alcohol policies, but across the board. Trucking
Yeah.
is not. It's not
Yep.
easy.
Well, I mean,
You know.
I gave the numbers earlier on just the last couple of years. You know, be it 10% decline in the rates. I mean, again, like I always do, flip it on its head. I mean, everybody's talking about retention. Everybody's talking about being able to get people in. You know, the way I see it and the way I started this argument out is that by lifting or easing the policies, I mean, we're going to see that number change dramatically. We're going to see the industry suffer more than they claim it is now. What do you think, Scott? I mean, if we open the floodgates and just let everybody just free for all or whatever the case is, I mean, what do you think? Because now think about it this way. I see you thinking. Think about it this way. What you do with one sector, you must do equally. So if they're going to do this with pot and drop the urinalysis and do with a more refined testing, which is what they want to do, then you've also got to do it in other sectors, in other areas, in other restrictions. So are you willing to ease up on meth? Are you willing to ease up on cocaine?
I'm not
Are
willing to
you willing
ease
to
up on
go up
it.
to maybe 0.11 on alcohol? I
I'm
mean,
not
think about
willing
it.
to. I'm
Yeah.
not willing to ease up on anything. I'm just saying that there's a double standard here,
Mm-hmm.
and,
Yeah.
and once again, we're talking about a state making laws and rules and regulations, which they should be allowed to do. And then on
Right.
the other side, you have the federal government that has, deemed, hey, this is super profitable for us. We can tax the hell out of alcohol and tobacco products and make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So
I think
they
Frank
do it.
opened it up. I think Frank opened it up rather intelligently and probably didn't realize it, but it just occurred to me what he said, and I'm going to bounce off what he said. And that is, basically, look, as far as I know, only 16 states. Somebody correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, or if you know, tell me. 16 states currently legalize marijuana. Federally, though, all 49, 40, 50, how many states there are? I'm kidding. It's illegal. It's legal as hell. It's legal as days long. So, when you're talking about the difference, I understand what you're talking about. That being said, again, you're doing it with one, you got to do it across the board, and
That's a dangerous slope. That's a dangerous slope.
it is. But the argument that's being posed in the article that I'm talking about is exactly that. They're talking about pot, and they're expecting everyone to ease up on this recreational medicinal purpose bull crap without the understanding that the moment you do things for one side because certain states want something, and then all of a sudden federally you're like, okay, let's do it, then you've got to do the same thing for everybody else and every other part of the sector too. That slippery slope is even more dangerous, I think.
Fully agree with you.
Yeah.
But hey, I got to run here. I just got a green light. And because I'm a reefer guy, I got to find a spot to go get some sleep.
You just had to dig me on that one. God bless you, Scott. I'm thankful. Look, hey, pop in anytime. Love the discussion. You be safe out there, my friend.
You too. You guys have a good night.
Great.
You
God
too,
bless
Scott.
you.
Later.
Frank, at the end of the day, I'm totally on board with the way you open the discussion. Hey, look, I'm a safety guy. I want my wife and kids, when they turn the key and they go from home to store to home, I don't want them dealing with the unknowns, especially if it's involved somebody that smoked 3 joints and feels like he's Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Last word to you, Frank. What you think?
To be honest with you, I totally agree with what you just said, to requote what I said, because I mean, there's no fighting it. It's not going to happen. And then when it does, if it ever does, I'm hoping I'm not on the road anymore. And to be honest with you, I'm hoping the good Lord has taken me home, because I don't want to see it happen.
Yeah.
It's just not something I want to be involved with.
Right. Amen to that. Well, I think we've had a very positive and lifting discussion. Look, at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. Between 22 and 23, we've had a drop. And despite what they may say and what you may want to believe, the truth is crystal clear. We're actually making progress. Okay? Positive drug tests among truck drivers are on the decline. It's just that simple. So why on earth, why would you want to mess with a system that works? Really simple, honestly. Less is more. Really, less is more. Less interference, less red tape, less unnecessary changes. Really, I mean, do we need to mess? Do we need to mess with a system that works? Folks, it's high time we recognize and give credit where credit's due. So if you're out there thinking that, well, you know what? The best is yet to come. If you mean that by making changes to a system that doesn't need any changes, you really got to screw loose. So let me tell you something. When it comes to my view is simple. As I said earlier, I'm a safety guy. I'm also a man who loses his nose. I'm a safety guy. It's easier for truckers to puff away on their pipes. Let me start that again. To all those who think we need to shake things up by letting truckers puff away on their pots, pipes, whatever, you got another thing coming. Let's remember, guys, less is more. The numbers don't lie. And at the end of the day, safety is what counts. You guys stay safe out there. Check me out on Saturday. Like this video, subscribe, and we'll see you on Saturday. Till then, keep the faith, keep it real, and keep it rolling.